Welcome to Random Select. Please enjoy.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mario welcoming you into another episode of Random Select. As usual, we're joined by our panelists, my partner in crime, the Frost Giant William. We're also joined by a new panelist, Kay, and a returning panelist in Clarissa. We have Valencia and we have Carlotta. And today we're going to try to answer the question: is black still beautiful? Or have we been led to think that lighter is better? So we're not gonna waste any time. We're gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna start off with Carlotta. I don't want to call it a crisis or anything like that, but do you feel we are in a state of emergency where in the black community self-hatred is starting to be on the rise?
I do. I believe that more than any other time, we're slowly losing respect for who we are. I mean, everybody's trying to look completely different than who they are. Everybody's walking around with the fake hair, the fake eyelashes. They're changing their skin tones, trying to be something else.
Okay, let's get to one of the new panelists that's on the show. Kay, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. Do you feel that we're in some type of state of emergency or crisis when it comes to black people and self-hatred?
I don't I don't really think it may not be so much self hatred based on the images that we see on TV, but I mean I think there is a crisis, especially with our young people. I don't think they have the same foundation that I grew up with or that my parents grew up with. When you ask them certain questions about just black leaders and just our history, they rarely know a whole lot about it. And then as far as images in the news, I definitely think even though natural hair and things like that are making that's making we're making progress in that area, but as far as what we see on TV, I think when we see a lot of commercials, you see lighter skinned black people or maybe the black people that could be mixed with other races. So I think there definitely is an image crisis going on.
Okay, I want you to kind of keep that right there because we're definitely going to talk about the images and media and hip hop and what type of role that they play in us looking at that.
I don't know if it's a crisis within the community. I just think there's situations that are there's situations that need to be addressed. I don't know if it's a crisis. I mean, crisis to me is something you look at like the civil rights movement was a crisis of something happening to the black community. I don't know if it's a crisis. I think it's just more so that there's situations that as there's more education, more cultural change, that those issues I think will take care of themselves. I think it's just like racism that it's a generational thing that will be fixed as we get further and further away from where it impacted the most.
Okay, Valencia, let me go right to you. How you feeling about it? Do you think, I mean, like Will said, I don't want to use the word crisis, but it's easier just to say that word. Do you think we are in at least a state of concern about this?
I would say yes and no, depending on where you are and what's being taught. I can definitely see my sister who's in college now. She's a '90s baby, and depending on which campus you go to, you can kind of see them. The college student trying to go back to their roots, self empowerment, things of that nature. However, the younger generation tends to get lost into, as what Carlotta was saying, the fake eyelashes, the things trying to alter themselves to fit into society. I do believe that our children need to be reminded of where they come from, how beautiful they are, and that, people will pay to look like them.
All right, let me jump to you real quick, Clarissa. How you feeling on the subject?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a crisis, but I would say it's a concern. Um, my son last year, he came home one day and he was like, I want to be light. And, he had the conversation with Will, and Will was like, why? And he was like, because I like their hair better and I want to have hair like that. So I think even our children are influenced, with the people they're around and the attitudes and that they get from their friends and from hearing people say certain things about our race and light versus dark. I think everybody's influenced by the media on some level.
Okay, and I want to jump right into the media aspect of it. I know Kay kind of touched on it a little bit, but how has the media influenced us with images of what they consider to be beauty as far as skin color go? And I want to start with you, Kalada.
Well, I think the media, since it's controlled by the white society from a long time ago anyway, have always said we only gonna showcase what's mixed with us. And we've been force fed women or men that were mixed. But mostly I'll focus more on the women that were mixed. And so you have a group of people that the only representative you see is a woman that's mixed with another race. And so as the generations go by, how does that affect the people? Where the media is telling you what is beautiful is what you see, and nobody in your neighborhood looks like this except a few people that are mixed. And they've been doing this to us for years. It's been going on from back in the days. The token person that's been chosen from the 40s and the 50s with Darcy Dandridge, to the 70s with Jane Kennedy, to Vanessa Williams, Halle Berry, and now we have Beyonce and quite a few more people. But it's always been that way.
What about you, Valencia? How do you feel the media is influencing how we view skin color?
It's one of those, and I'm not really a TV type person, and I'm trying to just go back and go just and see, was there any other dark skinned woman that looked like myself that may have represented a product. I mean, if it's mainstream, yes, they will use the Beyonce's. Think about the Pepsi commercial. They didn't use Kelly Rowland. They didn't use. I just can't. What is her name? The oh God, I can't think of the singer's name. But they did not use her. I think Dark and Lovely used Eddie's Murphy's daughter. She's a spokesperson for that. So depending on what's being portrayed or what's trying to be sold, unfortunately, I do believe a lighter person will represent even the models. The only time you will really see models if you were to go to the Bronner Brother hair show, or a show that's put on by one of us. But then even then you still may not have a dark skinned brother or sister.
Okay, Will, I'm gonna throw this over to you. How's the media affecting this as far as skin color go? Or do you believe is they affecting it, or is it just a mythical thing that's just in our head?
I think it's a question of, what, the chicken and the egg. I think it's a case that there was a point where it was an issue because of, just the nature of how, we as black people were brought here, how we were breeded, things in history. And now I think you have cases in the media where the media knows what the people want. I mean, it's say if the people want Justin Bieber, you get a face full of Justin Bieber. If it's something where they want to see light skin and long hair, you'll see that. But there's places in the media where it's not taking place. I mean, I see Serena Williams advertised for all sorts of things, and there's nothing light skin about Serena Williams or mixed at all. So I just think it's a case of the audience driving what you see, and that, like I said, it's something that's going to change as we all change. But I don't know if it's as much as a conspiracy now as it was. I think it's just a supply and demand issue now.
Okay, I'm
I,
glad
I,
that you
I
brought up
disagree.
Serena.
I disagree with what he said about the media gives the people what the people want. The media gives the people what they want to sell, and once you brainwash them and they get caught up, then they develop and believe what the media wants them to believe. And as for Serena, Serena is not being marketed to certain things, and you still have a group of people that still believe she's not gorgeous. So I don't believe the media is following what the people want. The media has already poisoned us over the years, and now a lot of black people believe that what we see is beautiful. So Serena is struggling trying to come out because everybody assumed because she is dark that she should not be trying to look like she's modeling. So even our
Oh,
own people are messing with
I
her.
mean, there are people that feel that way, but on the whole, Serena is one of the most popular athletes, male or female, out today across gender, across race, across anything. And yes, there are detractors that say she looks like a man or she's too dark, whatever. There are those detractors, but everybody in the industry has a detractor. I mean, Beyonce is seen as, like you want to say she's this vision of beauty that's supposed to be widely accepted. Yet there's also this vision of saying that she works for the Illuminati and worships the devil. So there's something about everybody that people can paint in a negative light.
Okay, now with that being said, since Kay was the one who kind of originally opened up this media thing, and I told her to hold on to that, we'll get back to it. Okay, Kay, go down the line that you was originally about to go down as far as the media go. How do you feel about it?
I mean, with the media, I think honestly it depends on the person and their foundation or their views. I think, like Valencia was saying, I'm not really a TV person. I rarely turn on the TV. So, I see stuff in the media, but I don't base my life off of what I see in the media. So, I really think it depends on the person, or, if you have a family, your family, and what you guys value and what they're teaching or what you're teaching your kids. If you're teaching your kids that, hey, Beyonce is what we should look like, then that's who they're going to follow. But I just really, I think it's a personal thing too. I mean, I see a whole lot of stuff on TV, and do I follow it? No. So I think a lot of it is based on the person, and then, just what their foundation. If you watch TV all day long and then you live your life based off of like a lot of these reality shows and stuff like that, then that's, I guess you do follow the media, but I just think it depends on the person, or think it depends on the individual person.
You mean to tell me a woman that is not into reality? Get out of
I
here.
don't. I honestly, I don't. I mean, people who come to my house, my TV usually only comes on when they're there. I just don't get into it. It's just, to me, it makes me mad. It's like a waste of time. And especially when you see a lot of African American people on the reality shows that we're on, I just think it's a horrible representation of us.
All right, we're gonna jump back to that kids thing in the very next question. But Clarissa, how do you see the media and the images that are being portrayed influencing the way we view skin color?
I think I agree with Kay. I think it's a lot more having to do with kind of what you're around, because I come from Louisiana, which is a place where there's a whole lot of mixed people, a lot of mixed people. So coming from that background, being light was considered more beautiful there, and just that kind of initially shaped my thinking. And then moving to Atlanta, I've been here like about over 10 years now. It was different. The opinions here were slightly different. So I think the media does have some influence, but I think what a culture does with the media is more like relevant than just the media, if that makes sense. How we respond to what the media puts out there as a
Oh,
culture.
all right. Well, let me jump right into this particular question right here. Since we are starting to lack Afrocentric or dark skin type cartoons for the kids, there's less Afro American type TV shows. We have TV shows with Afro Americans in it. Are the kids starting to think that lighter is better, Carlotta?
Yes, they are. And the point I wanted to make about what they just said is it's not TV that they're watching. And you have to remember most of the changes going on with teenagers. They're like sponge. No matter what speech you give them as an older person, they're gonna be drawn more to the media. They're gonna be drawn more to the internet. Um, my children don't watch TV, the big ones, the teenagers. Everything is the internet. So that's where a lot of the problem is coming in. It's not the TV. And you have to remember that no matter what you tell them, no matter what speech you give them, when they believe that they love somebody who is a star, oh, I love Beyonce, and they go to school and they interact with kids, no matter how much you giving them a speech at home, they're still gonna believe what they believe. You can't control what they see and the videos and all that stuff. You can't be there 24/7 to monitor everything to make sure that your child is not sitting there looking at a video and noticing that nobody dark is in the video that looks like me. Everybody in the video is light skinned as a female. And so they sit back and figure, okay, this is what everybody says is beautiful. So let me try to make myself look like that.
Okay. What about you, Valencia? Do you think that our kids are starting to think that lighter is better?
And I'm just trying to think of a conversation that I've had with my kids. In a sense, yes. And I say that because I have to piggyback off what Carlotta is saying. You know, basically everything is social media or internet. I can't even recall any type of, something that would just empower us, so to speak, that would say that black is beautiful. However, I guess I'm just old school. I just believe in pounding in my children's head, regardless of your color. I have a daughter who's the lightest out of us all. She thought she was adoptive at one point, on down to one who's chocolate. Nobody thought that they were related, but it still goes back to us just giving them the history and reminding them of where they are, where they come from.
Okay, and I want to go take this one right over to Clarissa since she said that her son already came home with the wannabe lighter thing. How did that make you feel? Since we already know he said that. How did it make you feel, Clarissa?
It made me sad because, you know, I think it can just start you kind of feeling like, well, it's not okay to be who I am, and all kinds of negative things can stem from that one thought. So, we did our best as parents to kind of squash it when it came up, but it just makes me sad that he's being exposed to that already and he's 7. And I can remember as a child thinking, and I don't know exactly where the thought came from because I can't go back that far, but I remember thinking, oh, I wish I was lighter. And I told my mom, and she was like, no, your color is beautiful. So I picked something up at school as well around the time when I was like 10. So it just makes me sad that he's already having to deal with that.
And Kay, what about you? Do you think the kids are thinking that lighter is better?
I believe they might think so, because as Clarissa said, when I was younger, my mom's side of the family, we even tease them. They're like almost white. So, but my brother and my sister, we all ended up taking my dad's darker tone. So I can remember too when I was little picking it up from wherever that I wish I was lighter. But I think, as my parents talked to me, and then as they just kind of just kind of confirmed who I was and my identity. It's not based on your skin color. That started to change. So do I think it's a big problem? I don't. I mean, I volunteered with some kids, so I'm trying to remember if I ever just heard them talking about it. Not really, but I'm sure the thoughts are there, but I don't know if it's like such a big issue for them.
So the very next question I'm gonna ask the women, as a darker skinned woman, and any one of you guys could chime in on this. As a darker woman, do you feel that you are a disadvantage to a lighter one?
No, I don't. I don't feel that I'm at a disadvantage to anyone. And that basically stems back to who I'm confident in myself. I don't compare myself to any other woman. I know what I bring to the table. I know my self-worth. I know my value. Now, when I was younger, I went through self-esteem issues because I have a sister that was lighter than me. So when I was younger, I had those where I would never be like her. I would never be popular like her. Oh, I would never get this. I would never get that. But it took for me to find out who I was and to become comfortable in my own skin. So as far as feeling that I'm at disadvantage to any other woman, especially a light skinned woman, no.
Okay, Carlotta.
I believe you can be a disadvantage. Um, I'm at the point where mentally I see that I could do everything for myself. I could be independent, I could be strong and all that. But you have to face reality that it's not fair out there in the world. If you go into certain places, they will purposely get the lighter woman to represent the eye candy for the company. You don't see too much businesses trying to push a darker woman as the beauty of the company, and it's still out there where the same thing with size. We're not talking about size, but they'll pick a certain size to represent what they consider is beauty. So it's slowly changing. You'll go into certain businesses and you'll start to see darker and you're like, oh, they finally whatever. But it's we know it's not fair. It's not a fair game out there. And we still see the stars that are marrying and going with women that are lighter. We still notice that most of these people, no matter how much the stars are dark, the people they marry don't look like them. So it's a disadvantage. but you learn how to deal with it.
Okay. Do you feel that way, Clarissa?
For me personally, I don't feel it's a disadvantage because, my mom always taught me that you could do anything you wanted to do, you can be whatever you want to be, and it's based on your talents and it's based on your merit. And also, just because of the faith that I have, I don't base things on my color. I go after what I want and I pray about it and then I do it. And so because of that, for me personally, I don't feel it's a disadvantage, but if I hadn't been taught that way, and if I didn't have the faith that I do, it may be a disadvantage.
All right, Kay. Have you run across any situations, or do you feel that way that you're a disadvantage to someone who may be lighter?
I think I felt that way when I was younger, but I think as Valencia said, as you get older and you are more confident in who you are, and then as Clarissa said about your faith, that changed for me. And then let's just be for real, all light-skinned women are not beautiful. I had or not just pretty. I had a friend in high school, they would call her Redbone. They loved her, but she wasn't really pretty. So it's just, you just learn to, as you get older and you become more confident in who you are, I think those things change.
Now, have any of the women ever had, a man come out just flat out and tell you, you cool, I like you, your personality is okay, but you're just too dark for me, or I prefer them lighter.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me. And I've had it happen more than once, or where they might not come out and say it, but through conversation they'll say, "Well, I usually only date lighter." And it's usually, and as a matter of fact, it's always the darker men that say this.
At that particular point, how did you feel once they told you, I want to talk to you, but now I decide that normally you ain't good, you're not good enough, but I guess in this case, I'll make an exception. Going forward, at that point, he got to know that there can be no talking to you after he makes that statement, right?
No, the same way they're dumb enough to say it, the same way they assume you're gonna talk, but they just don't realize the date is over.
Valencia ever had a case where someone just said, hey, you cool, but I prefer lighter?
No, I've never had that. And I mean, it's difficult. I know people that have had that to happen to them, but I just personally feel like the black and white issue is not really an issue today as it was 20 years ago, and that's just my personal opinion.
Clarissa or Kay ever had a situation where a man has made you feel like you weren't up to par because you wasn't light enough?
I mean, for the skin color reason, no. I mean, other reasons, yeah, but I've never had anybody actually tell me I was not light enough. I know people who are like that, but I've never had that happen to me personally, as far as a man telling me, you're not the right color. I think most guys that I know, they wouldn't even pursue me anyway because I'm not the color that they would want. So,
Okay. Now let me ask you this, Will, from a man's standpoint. Has skin color ever truly mattered to you?
No,
Because I know men and women look at it a little different, a little slighted. Has it ever mattered to you?
no, I've never spent a waking second on that issue. And this is coming from someone who, like I said, I went to high school in a mixed environment, was around, white, Hispanic, Asian, and black, and I can attest, anyone that was beautiful, regardless of the race to me. That's never been an issue. I don't even understand the concept of how you to go slightly off subject. It's hard enough to find a woman, period. Let alone you start dicing them up into little categories, trying to make these smaller categories fit. I'm just once I evaluate you're not crazy, then I can work from there.
All right, this is another subject that I know kind of can be touchy to some women. Now, does it affect you when black men, once they become successful, or not even if they become successful, choose lighter or white over the darker women? Claude, I know you got strong opinions about this, and if it does affect you, let me ask you this question: why?
It doesn't affect me personally, but I find it strange that when they poor, a darker woman is good enough for them. But when they get into money or fame, they go get somebody that doesn't look like them. But I understand also why. When you've been told that this is something you can't have, this is something special. Then when you come into money, the same way you go get the Bugatti, you go get the diamonds, of course you're going to go get something that you think is rare and that you could never have before. I don't see that much light-skinned men chasing down light-skinned women, but I see a lot of dark men chasing light-skinned women. So it doesn't affect me personally, but I think it's a form of self-hatred, my
You
opinion.
don't think no love or affection can be there, or either
It
that could
could
be
be.
just their
It,
personal
it
preference?
could be. It could be where two people, dark and light, meet together and they're in love. It happens all the time. But I'm just saying, when you're approaching a woman because she's lighter and you're only doing it because you feel I couldn't have it when I was broke, but now that I have money, I could get her. And of course, she's approaching you because you have money. What's the outcome? It's eventually going to end to a divorce, and that's how most of them end up. How many of these people really stay together? Because you're not going into stuff for love, you're going into it for the wrong reasons. The darker man's going into it because he's caught up into getting something that he couldn't get when he was broke, and the lighter woman is going into it because she knows, look, everybody desire me, so I'm going to go with somebody that can give me whatever I want.
See,
But as
I'm gonna
go
hold
ahead,
on. Let me
go
cut
ahead,
in.
Will.
I think I take part of what Carlotta said at face value, but I think the motivations are different in some cases. I think a lot of cases you will have. Let's just take an example of like a basketball player, somebody who's grown up, whatever project in the city, whatever, their whole life, been around, all of your own kind, your own other black African Americans your whole life. You finally make it big, whatever, you get money. The circle you're in changes at that point. You're around a more diverse group. You're now open to options you've never seen. Now, if that man had an ulterior motive that, I'm rich, I want to get me a light skinned chick, that's his own issue. But there are cases where you're just taken into an environment that you just now have options you've never had from birth to 18, 21, 25 years old, that now you've hit a certain place where you can go into other circles, you see other things. So you don't see everything in the hood. You don't see the liquor store, the pawn shop, all the stuff, the corn, all the stuff. See, now you're in different areas. You're in a place where you're around a vast group of people, and you may see someone of another race that actually strikes your attention. I mean, my one of
But
my
but
sons
I'm
like,
not but I'm not talking about other race. I'm talking about light skin. And even when you're in the hood, you have light skinned women there. I just think when they become rich or become famous, they have a bigger choice of lighter women that desire them compared to when they were broke and had less choice of women that wanted to be with them. Because of course, these women know that they're desirable, so they are going to go to the ones that can the highest bidder. That's how I see it.
So so does not personal choice matter anymore? Just because he got money, I mean, what if that's just his personal choice?
He could have a personal choice for that, but also there's something wrong with that too. When you don't like what you look like, what's going to happen if your child in that relationship comes out dark like you? You're not going to like your child also?
No, but are we starting to get to the point where we're separating ourselves? You do know that that still is another black person, right? Are we getting
It's
to the
still,
point where
it's
we're
still
starting to
another black
create
person, and
light against dark when we all black?
we're all black. And the point of this show is we're talking about the fact that society has made it where it seems like lighter is better. And that's the point that we're talking about. We started off with the point where, yes, we know that we're all black, even though we're different shades, but it's not a fair race for both shades.
Okay, how do you feel about this, Valencia?
I'm gonna try to tread as lightly as I possibly can, but also
No, I want your pure, unadulterated, unfiltered truth. How do you feel about it?
I don't see it as a brother when he make it big running to the white women. I can basically agree with what Will is saying, because first of all, when you start making X amount of money, your circle is going to change. That's not necessarily saying he may not like black women or dark women. They may not be in that particular circle. On top of that, you have to understand that color, light skin and dark skin, it doesn't matter. I guess for me it's just difficult to feel infuriated by a light skinned person thinking a light skinned person has more advantages than I do. it's just extremely hard and difficult. So I don't believe that. I believe that the media plays, a portion of how our children view things, but at the same time, you have to teach your children. You cannot just let the internet and the media raise your kids. You cannot let this old racism between black people. I mean, we was racist against ourselves. And I'm remembering this as a child, the light skin, the AKAs didn't want to mess with the Deltas because of the light skin, dark skin thing. I mean, to me, I think it is it's still here, but it's not really prevalent. It's not.
Okay, Kay, let me get your opinion on this.
Okay, so I'm going back, I guess, to what I think we were talking about, like as far as when,
A black man becomes successful.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
with that, I think love is love, and I don't really. I mean, I don't. That doesn't bother me. I guess it would bother me a little bit when they start degrading. Like it's kind of like she was talking about self-hate when they're degrading, and I think it's more so not even the light skin, but I guess when you might see a black man marry a white woman, and then they start degrading black women. But it's not even so much, it's not even about the color then, it's just the stereotypes that they kind of give us. So as far as when they marry, I don't think that has a big effect on me. As long as you, if you love that person, that's fine, that's cool. But when you start kind of degrading your race or light skin, dark skin, that's when I have a problem with it.
But nobody really degrades. They don't really say
Yeah.
anything. We just go by what we see.
Oh, I've heard
Um,
a couple of black men say that they don't want to be with black women.
Okay, Clarissa, chime in real quick. How do you feel about when a black man seems to have a little success, he chooses a lighter toned woman? How do you feel about it?
Honestly, I don't think I have very strong feelings about it at all. It doesn't really have much to do with me, but just to kind of chime off of something that Carlotta said, she was saying if the dark guy marries the light lady, how is he going to feel about his kids? I don't think it's necessarily a reflection on always on how he feels about himself, just the fact that he's attracted to lighter, if that's the case. Sometimes it may be the case, but I don't think you have to put them all in the same basket and say, okay, so because he likes light, that means he doesn't like him. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes opposites attract, you know?
Okay. All right, let's change it over from just looking at it from that standpoint to, what we listen to as far as the music go and stuff like that. Do y'all think if you are a hip hop person, did you think hip hop helped change the way we view beauty? And when I say that, I mean i.e. the video vixen always being a light skinned, big butt, red bone type of person. Did the hip hop culture help influence how we are seeing skin color too? Will,
I'll go
Will,
ahead,
let me
John.
go
Yeah,
with Will on this.
yeah. I don't think so. Just because I mean, you can. There's an argument to be made for that, and I won't say that it doesn't have merit. But I also look at a situation. Well, I looked at Common and Drake being two of the biggest hip hop artists around, basically fighting over Serena in public on battle and rap albums. And so and those are two, as far as I know, light skinned brothers. I mean, Drake is mixed. So I don't think it's necessarily hip hop in and of itself. I think it's just something to where, as I said before, you get to a point to where you're marketing to an audience, and if an audience and hip hop hasn't been a solely black endeavor since probably Grandmaster Flash. So now with everyone having a hand in who likes hip hop, you're going to see a mixture of things where you're going to see more. You'll see more light skin. You'll see, we got Vita Guerrero, who's Hispanic, who's a video vixen herself. She's Hispanic. You've had like the black ones, like Buffy the Body, who are dark skinned. It's all over the map. So I just think it's truly a supply and demand to me when you see things in the media, because if you don't like it, it won't get portrayed. If no, we complain about seeing black people portrayed on TV. If we stop watching Cutting into ATL or Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, it won't be on anymore. But we sit and watch it. As long as we watch it, we're giving them license to keep putting it out there.
But
Okay.
I want to make a statement about what he just said. Common and Drake are light skinned. My point that I was making earlier was the light skinned guys don't usually chase down light skinned women, so that's why they're fighting over Serena. We're talking about when we talking about hip hop, I'm talking about the dark skinned rappers that are trying to make sure that the people that they feel is beautiful and portrayed in their videos are light skinned and Hispanic women only.
Now, see,
Okay, hold
me and
on.
Will me and Will go back a long ways, and I kind of have a different opinion on that because I hear every other rapper rapping about long hair, light skin this and light skin that. Or now in the music, they put it out, and we do know that music can be somewhat subliminal and somewhat, the kids are influenced by it. But I don't want to see too many rappers rapping about how the dark skinned girl did something for them.
And that's
All
the
I'm gonna say
point
is
I'm
this.
making.
All I'm gonna say is this. This is my own opinion of the average rapper in the game. I said the average rapper in the game doesn't have enough common sense to not sign a deal he can't get out of without forfeiting half his fortune. So I really don't give these same cats the same amount of credit to say that they're able to shape how we look at beauty because I said they're not directing the videos. They probably don't even know what the video is about when they show up on the set. They show up. The producers put together the vision, and unless they don't, I mean, to that point, I say you got Nas and Puff who show up in the video where they were being portrayed as Jesus, then complaining that they know that they were getting portrayed as Jesus on the cross. You knew you were Jesus on the cross and you signed on to it. I just don't give rappers that type of general credit because these are the same people who go broke after buying 5 Lamborghinis. They're not shaping our society. They're just not.
I'm not saying it from the
They're not
visual
shaping
standpoint. I'm
they're
talking
not
about
shaping the
from what they saying
society.
in the lyric.
They're not shaping the society, but somebody's using them as a vessel to shape the society. And that's the point I think I'm trying to make, where it's not them specifically saying that, but they're being used. And when the teenagers are watching these videos, they don't care about the white man behind the video that runs the record company that makes the decision. All they see is that Little Wayne likes only the light skinned chicks.
Okay, Kay or Clarissa, one of y'all could chime in. I don't know if y'all are hip hop people, but do you think that hip hop has some type of influence since hip hop is part of the media?
I mean, I think it has some, but I think about it the other way because, like, when, I'm just thinking about it from the artist standpoint. Like, when Biggie Smalls came out, I think he helped the dark skinned people because everybody loved Biggie. So, I don't know. I just
But
think of it.
but Biggie went and choose Faith Evans as a wife.
But then he also was with Kim, little Kim. So,
Kim was this ghetto girl before he made it. And then Kim decided to try to look light enough, and look at Kim now. She's caught up in the whole thing.
Wait! Don't go into that. That's my next question. Say it out. Say it out. Go ahead and finish, Kay. Go ahead.
no, I mean, I don't, like I said, me personally, my foundation is not in TV. So, I mean, I see all that stuff on TV, but it doesn't have an effect on my choices, what I decide or who I like. So when I think about, I mean, I love hip hop, but I don't really think about that aspect of it. I mean, that's not, I don't think it has like a big effect in that area.
Has a
Okay,
big
Clarissa.
effect with the young people, not with us. It's really the young people, and that's the ones that are more messed up right now than us.
But I
We know
think
how to.
that's where, I mean, I think that's where, as being a parent, that's where you come into play to make sure that they understand the difference. And just like TV shows, when I was younger, I understood that things like I'm trying to think of like a magic show or like what's Harry Potter. Okay, so now like not now but maybe a couple of years ago all the kids were in the Harry Potter. But when I was younger, when I would see those type of TV shows, I just knew that that stuff wasn't real. So I don't know, it's from my parents telling me that or, whatever. But I just think parents today just have to kind of reinforce that these reality shows, all this stuff in these videos, it's not real. I mean, half of them can't even afford the stuff that they have in the videos. They're renting it. So I
But
just
that's
think
a
that it goes
trend.
back to the
That's a trend.
parents.
The children have to live with light and black every day, everywhere they go, and what you're talking about is a trend. And let me ask a question: do you have children?
No, I don't.
All right, so Clarissa, how do you fall in on this?
I would say that probably when I was a lot younger, like in high school, maybe hip hop might have had some kind of influence just because of my attention to it. Like I was the person that would just sit and watch BET videos all day, but you do that when you're that age. Um, but as an adult, I just don't think it has much of an influence at all. And I think just to spin off of what Kay said, I agree that it is what you're reinforcing at home that I feel will override any influence that you're getting outside in the outside world. And although, Kay doesn't have kids, she spent like over 10 years working in children's ministry. So she's very familiar with how to handle kids and how to
But
influence
but
them.
I guess everybody's gonna have to be doing something at home, because for all the kids that are walking around with weaves on their head and colored hair, it shows that something's definitely wrong. So there is
But
an
I
issue
have
somewhere.
colored hair and I like weave every now and then, but I don't think that that's because I've been influenced. That's just my personal preference every
You
now
might
and then to
be
get
influenced
weave or
by it. I
curly
have
hair.
nothing wrong. I have no problems with it also, but I'm saying when it becomes a point where the younger generation, all they want to do is look something different than what they look like. Nobody wants to wear their natural hair. Nobody wants to, everybody wants to look like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
Everybody, you go on YouTube, they have a million videos showing you how to use concealers and makeup to change your look. And when you look at these girls before they put it on, they're regular dark skinned girls. Then they turn into a light skinned girl.
I
But see,
disagree with that.
but
And I guess because of the children that I'm around every day, these babies are embracing.
Hmm.
These children, I promise you. I mean, I'm right now doing my daughter's hair. She wants the Cuban twist with her hair. These kids, they are finding their own way. Don't get me wrong. Hip hop does, Kim Kardashian, they play a role, but it also goes back to what are you putting inside of your children. Children around the neighborhood, children that I touch at the Boys and Girls Club, we remind them it's nothing wrong with the weave and the nails, but at the same time, don't get lost in that. So for me, the children that I'm seeing today, these babies are really getting back. They kind of they're reminding me of how I guess back in the 70s when Black Power was coming out. I see this Black Power era coming back around from the children that I'm around children all over the metro Atlanta area. So I have to strongly disagree with that. Not all children want to have the weave and the colored hair and in the eyes and things of that nature. It's nothing wrong with it. But I really think when you're talking about the YouTube videos, there are a million YouTube videos that teaches you about your natural hair and how to
mhm.
do all this other stuff.
And
Okay,
I want to
what
jump in
about
on
the
that.
reality shows with love and hip hop and all that stuff? Everybody looks natural on there.
No,
I'm
that's
gonna
true.
be honest
No,
with you.
no, that's true,
It's
Carlotta. It's just, to me, it's the fact that when you see the reality shows and you see kids that are walking out, wearing booty shorts and got 4 feet of weave on their hair and got Kool-Aid colors, you're probably looking at the kid whose parents couldn't spell PTA, let alone go to a PTA meeting. Kids in their nature are innocent canvases that are meant to be painted on and influenced. So I said, when you see a kid that's that far out of pocket and that far gone, it's because there's a parent or two that just is not taking the time to influence that child correctly. There's very few children who grow up in a loving, caring, neutral environment that decide on their own they want to become a bad seed. It's not something that happens a whole lot. I said, so I just know that I'm fall more so with Valencia. There's tons of kids that know their identity, that identify with their identity. To even go back to the young man Clarissa and I are raising, and Mario, you'll identify with this more so because you have knowledge of it. I said he doesn't like the New Day. The New Day is a group of wrestlers in WWE. For lack of a better way of describing it, they pretty much shuck and jive their way through any appearance they make on TV. I'm not saying that's who they are personally as black men, because I know one of them studying for his doctorate. I assume these are intelligent black males. But because of the industry they're in, they're doing all this yelling, jumping, and all this stuff that makes them look like idiots. Elijah knows he doesn't like them, and he doesn't know why he doesn't like them, but he just knows looking at it, it looks dumb. So he doesn't identify with it because of how he's being raised. And he'll learn as he gets older. Though he's only 7 right now. He'll learn as he get older why he doesn't identify with that, and why he thinks he should be looking at something else. But I think it all
And
goes to the parents.
and this is a good point to make, and this is why we're having this discussion to see both sides of this thing, because it's not made up in Carlotta's mind of people who feel like Carlotta, and then you got a lot of people who just feel on the other side of this fence. So that's why we're having this particular discussion, and which is why I'm going into the next question to say, how deep do y'all think the self-hatred must be for you to decide that as a black man you're gonna decide that I'm gonna bleach myself, like Vibes Cartel. And for me, the main one is Sammy Sosa. Now, Will can attest to this. Sammy Sosa went from being dark to look like an old white man. So, I mean, Will, chime in on this. I mean, is it that bad where you just feel you have to change yourself that drastically? Not a shade or two, but I mean, Sammy Sosa went to from being my color to white.
I mean, to answer your question, Mario, I don't know. I don't understand the. I don't know what can go through your head, and I would say especially for Sammy Sosa because he was at the height of popularity as a black Dominican. He he was looked at as a hero. So I don't know what in his mind he feels the gain by doing it. I said this is a man, and even with all the steroid backstory, he could still go to his home country and be worshipped as a conquering hero regardless of what he looks like. So I don't understand that at all. I don't know. I think that is something that comes down to someone's personal, just their personal outlook of how they see race and life and their situation, because that makes no sense to me personally.
But you don't think that it got to be a little self hatred, Will, for him to go that extreme? I know you're saying you can't understand it, but something's not right from a mental standpoint there.
I mean that's true, and I I can't say it's not self hatred, but I mean we're naming we named like three cases, three people. I mean, so out of countless others who haven't made such a drastic life choice. So I don't know. Self hatred is part of it, but that can't be the only thing that's driving it because there has to be something else. Like you said, that's a mental disconnect to take that big of a self hatred may be the whole well I make it big I'm gonna get me a white woman, a light skinned woman. That may be self hatred to go to the point where you're gonna put knife or chemical to skin, that's something else.
But
But
let me chime in on this. The Dominicans have a big color issue in their country. The lights don't like the darks, and that's why they also don't like the Haitians because they're sharing one piece of land, two countries on one land, but they don't like the darker people. There's a big issue in Dominican Republic where light don't like dark. So no matter how much money he gets, deep down inside, maybe culture wise, he grew up where he felt he should have been lighter. And so when you have the money to make the change, you might make the change. The same way little Kim got the money and decided to make the change, whether it be good or bad.
I do want to add that to this list, it's not just these couple names. They even got Rihanna and Beyonce on the bleaching list, even though they're already kind of light. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with this. And Carlotta, you can speak to this. It's a whole thing going on in your country with the Vibes Cartel. It's not just him. It's
No,
it's
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 a big
it's,
thing in the islands. It's a big thing in
yes.
Africa with bleaching because everybody wants to go shades lighter because lighter shade is accepted more. There's more opportunities. Everybody's saying a lot of stuff on here, but I'm coming from what I see. And there is a better opportunity for lighter. You can't be darker and expect everywhere you walk and you're going to be accepted if the job requires you to look a certain way. The same way you can't be fat and walk in a certain place and expect a certain job. You're not going to be a 300-pound flight attendant. You can forget it. They finally starting to let the light skinned ones years ago start working. In the 60s and the 70s, you had to be light to get up in there. So that's the reality of it. A lot of countries they're bleaching because they want to fit in. Everybody
So
wants to be what people consider is beauty.
so dark can't be beautiful.
Dark is beautiful, but the problem is when a majority of people put it out there and make it seem like lighter is beautiful, then everybody that's darker starts to doubt themselves, and you start thinking you need to be looking like the other people. And that's why Beyonce is beautiful, but there's dark women that's beautiful too. But you have so much girls now that want to be Beyonce because the society put Beyonce up on that pedestal and said that's what's beauty.
Okay. Do you want to chime in on this whole bleaching thing, Kay?
I think it's a combination of factors. I mean, I think a little bit maybe self hatred, but I think it's like a combination of how you grew up, how you think about things. I think it's a combination of factors as to why somebody would want to do that.
All right. What about you, Clarissa?
I feel that it probably does start with some type of self hate or deep rooted insecurity, in most cases, based on what you've been around culturally and what you've been taught. And also, I think there has to be some type of motive, like you're doing it because you feel there's something you'll gain. And it kind of spins off of our other question. You probably do feel there's some type of advantage you gain from making that change.
Okay, so with that being said, if you say that they might feel there's some type of advantage, so this is a thing that's going on that they feel if they become lighter, they probably be more accepted or is something financially to be gained from it if they become lighter.
I think they feel that way. Do I think that's in actuality true? No, I don't feel that way. But a person that would make that change, they probably have that mindset.
That's a really, really good point. All right, Valencia, how you feeling about that?
I believe there's something wrong mentally for you to do something drastic, but also it depends on, like everyone is saying, your culture, where you're from. If this is what's being accepted, if they feel like this is going to be beneficial to me and my family, then they may have, they may decide to take that change. I don't personally agree with it. I believe you should be comfortable and happy with the way God made you, no matter if you are almost clear or 8 shades dark. That's just my opinion. It's just hard for me personally to just alter my appearance just to be accepted. So I think for me it's difficult trying to understand, as the Michael Jackson, the Beats Cartel. And with Beats Cartel, I actually did research. I mean, Mario, he was your complexion. Now
I know,
you look
I
at
know.
him, I mean, I'm like, what, this can't be the same person. This is a person, I enjoy his music, but I'm just like, I just don't understand, how could you do something so drastic like that?
Okay. All right, we're gonna get ready to wrap this up because it's starting to hit that hour mark. Probably a couple minutes longer than I wanted to, but I want to kind of get everybody's opinion out on this, and so we're gonna kind of wrap it up with a final statement from everybody. First, I don't know if we actually answered the question: is black still beautiful? But I think it is personally. So since Kay, you're new to the thing, any final words on this particular subject?
I agree. Black is beautiful. I mean, just as a culture, we just have a rich culture, and I think for the children growing up today, if parents or mentors or whoever just teach our kids about our all aspects of our culture, then I mean, if they don't already think it, then they will grow to learn that black is beautiful. I mean, all cultures are beautiful. Once you take the time to sit down, study it, and understand it, then you realize that all cultures are beautiful. But definitely, I mean, I love being black. I thank God that I was born black. So I think it changes as you get older too, and you become more confident in who you are.
Okay, Valencia, any final words on this subject here?
I'm going to agree with you and Kay. Black is beautiful. All cultures are beautiful. We as a culture need to understand that people pay to look like us. At the end of the day, that should be an automatic win. You shouldn't have to alter yourself. Love yourself for who you are, and just know that you are unique and beautiful in your own skin.
Okay. Clarissa, any final words on is black still beautiful?
I agree with Kane Valencia. Black is still beautiful, and I agree also that all other cultures are beautiful as well. I think it's just important to appreciate the things that make us different as a culture, because I've noticed that a lot of different cultures, whatever it is about that culture that makes them different, they don't like it. Like white people want to be darker. Asian people, they don't like their eyes. Black people don't like their color. So generally, or we don't like our curly hair. Whatever it is about you that makes you different, a lot of times as a culture you don't like it. So I just say embrace it and embrace who you are, and also just teach your children to do the same.
Okay, Will.
Of course, black is still beautiful. The reason, and for no other reason, the fact that we spent the better part of an hour talking about light skinned people and light skinned women, and the fact that there wouldn't be light skinned women unless black was beautiful, because those came from white people being with black women. They weren't with white women making light skinned people. So, black, to Alicia's point, black is beautiful. People pay money to be, to try to look black. There are white dudes walking around with dreads because they identify with beauty being of color. So it's just a situation where, for the cases where there are some of us that self hate or identify more with light skin, or want to be stereotypical, or have like a trophy wife or trophy husband or whatever. That those cases exist, but overall, I mean, black is still beautiful, and that's not going to change yesterday, today, tomorrow, whenever.
All right, Colada, give you the final word on this since you've been so passionate this whole show. What's the final word?
Black has always been beautiful. It's just for us to recognize it. And as for, we've had this discussion, and to me, it seems like it's a lot of denial in our country. In this country, it's a lot of denial going on. If you put all the people that are considered female artists and put them all in a room, who's popular? Ain't too much dark skinned folks and they look like Serena. So we could say whatever we say, but it's not equal on both sides. And that's my comment.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Random Select. Want to thank all the panelists on today's show. I want to thank Kay, Clarissa. I want to thank the Frost Giant himself, Will. I want to thank Carlotta, and I want to thank Valencia. Today was a really good show, and I appreciate you guys for taking time out. If you want to follow the show, follow us at Random Select with two T's on Twitter, and the randomselectt.com is finally up and running, so you can go to the website, check out our panelists and some of their bios, and leave comments if you would like. And the email address is randomselect at gmail.com. And with that being said, people, we are out.
You have been listening to Random Select. Thank you. Goodbye.